The rain in New York City does not wash away the grime. It only makes the lights of the skyscrapers reflect harder on the pavement, like diamonds scattered in the mud. Tonight, the city felt heavier than usual. The wind howled through the canyons of steel and glass, whipping against the windows of the Lee Empire Tower, the tallest building in Manhattan. Inside the grand ballroom on the top floor, the air smelled of expensive perfume, truffle oil, and old money. It was a scent that Hana knew well, but one she was never allowed to own. She adjusted the heavy silver tray in her hands, her wrists trembling slightly under the weight. She had been on her feet for 10 hours straight. Her cheap black flats were pinching her toes, sending sharp needles of pain up her legs with every step. But she forced a smile. A smile was part of the uniform. A smile was what kept her employed. Tonight was the engagement party of the century. Min-ho Lee, the heir to the Lee Empire Group, the prince of New York's real estate scene, was officially announcing his engagement to Sojin, the daughter of a tech mogul. The room was filled with the kind of people who didn't look at prices, who didn't look at clocks, and who certainly didn't look at waitresses. Hana moved through the crowd like a ghost, weaving between men in Italian suits and women dripping in jewels that cost more than her father's entire life savings. She was invisible, and she preferred it that way. If you were invisible, you couldn't make mistakes. If you were invisible, you couldn't be yelled at. She just needed to survive 2 more hours. 2 more hours, and she would get her tip envelope. 2 more hours, and she could pay the hospital bill for her father's surgery. Just 2 hours. She approached the VIP section, a raised platform roped off with velvet cords. This was the inner sanctum. Min-ho was there, standing in the center of a circle of admirers. He looked like a statue carved from ice. His suit was midnight blue, tailored to perfection, and his hair was slicked back, revealing a face that was devastatingly handsome but cold. His eyes, dark and sharp, scanned the room with boredom. He held a crystal flute of champagne loosely in one hand, looking as if the entire party bored him. Hanging onto his arm was Sojin. She was beautiful in a terrifying way, wearing a red dress that looked like a wound against her pale skin. Her laugh was loud, piercing, and fake. Hana took a deep breath. She had to serve them. It was her job. She stepped forward, lowering her gaze respectfully. "Champagne, sir?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper over the thumping jazz music. Min-ho didn't even look at her. He just extended his empty glass without turning his head, expecting it to be filled by magic. Hana carefully poured the golden liquid, her hand steady despite her exhaustion. But then it happened, the moment that would shatter her life. Sojin, laughing at a joke someone made, threw her head back and took a sudden, sharp step backward. Her stiletto heel, sharp as a dagger, landed squarely on Hana's foot. The pain was blinding. Hana gasped, her knee buckling instinctively. As she stumbled forward, the tray in her hand tilted. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. The crystal flute slid, tipped, and fell. Splash! Cold, sticky champagne cascaded down the front of Min-ho's midnight blue suit. The sound of shattering glass cut through the music like a gunshot. The entire VIP section went silent. The jazz band seemed to stop. The laughter died. All eyes turned to the center of the room. Hana froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She looked up, terror seizing her throat. Min-ho stood there, staring down at his soaked jacket. The golden liquid dripped from his lapel onto his polished leather shoes. His face was unreadable, which was worse than anger. It was a blank, terrifying calm. Sojin shrieked, breaking the silence. "Oh my God, you clumsy idiot! Look what you did!" She pointed a manicured finger at Hana, her face twisting in disgust. "That suit costs more than your entire life." Hana dropped to her knees. She didn't think, she just reacted. "I am so sorry, sir. I am so sorry. It was an accident. I slipped. Please forgive me." She began to pick up the shards of glass with her bare hands, not caring that the sharp edges sliced into her skin. Blood mixed with the champagne on the floor, but she didn't feel the pain. She only felt the crushing weight of fear. Min-ho slowly looked down at her. His eyes were devoid of humanity. He didn't see a woman. He didn't see a human being. He saw a stain. He saw a nuisance. He saw a bacteria. He took a step forward, looming over her trembling form. "Do you know how much this fabric costs?" he asked, his voice low and smooth, like velvet wrapped around a knife. Hana couldn't speak. She just shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. Minho scoffed. "Of course you don't. You people never do. You walk through the world breaking things you can't afford to fix." He looked at his shoes. They were splashed with a few drops of champagne. He sighed, a sound of pure annoyance. Then he did something that made the entire room gasp. He extended his foot toward her face. "Clean it." Hana blinked, confusion mixing with her terror. "Sir?" "Clean it," Minho repeated, his voice raising just a decibel, enough to send a shiver down everyone's spine. "You made the mess. You clean it. And don't use a napkin. I don't want lint on my leather. Use your apron." The room was deathly quiet. This was not just a reprimand. This was a public execution of her dignity. Hana looked at the shoe, then up at him. His eyes dared her to refuse. If she refused, he would be fired. If she was fired, her father wouldn't get the surgery. If he didn't get the surgery, he would die. Her pride or her father's life? It wasn't a choice. It was a surrender. Slowly, with trembling hands, Hana untied the corner of her stained apron. She leaned forward, bowing her head so low her forehead almost touched the floor. She began to wipe the champagne from his shoe. The leather was cold and hard against her fingers. She could feel the eyes of hundreds of people burning into her back. She could hear the faint snickers of Sojin and her friends. She felt like she was drowning in shame, the air in the room suddenly too thin to breathe. She finished the left shoe, then the right. When she was done, she remained kneeling, unable to look up. "Is that satisfactory, sir?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Minho looked at his shoes, then kicked his foot slightly, knocking her hand away. "It will do," he said dismissively. Then he turned to the manager who had rushed over, pale and sweating. "Get this trash out of my sight, and make sure she never works in this city again. I don't want to see her face in a diner, let alone a hotel. Blacklist her everywhere." The manager grabbed Hana by the arm, hauling her to her feet. "You heard Mr. Lee. Get out. Leave your uniform. You don't deserve to wear the company logo." Hana stumbled back, clutching her chest. "Sir, please, I need this job. My father, he's sick. Please, just dock my pay. I'll work for free. Please don't blacklist me." Minho didn't even turn around. He was already taking a fresh glass of champagne from another waiter, laughing at something Sojin whispered in his ear. To him, Hana had already ceased to exist. Hana was dragged to the service elevator, stripped of her apron, and shoved out into the back alley. The heavy metal door slammed shut behind her with a finality that echoed in her bones. She stood there in the pouring rain, wearing nothing but her thin white blouse and black skirt. The cold instantly bit into her skin, stoking her to the bone within seconds. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering violently, but the cold outside was nothing compared to the cold inside her heart. She had lost. She had swallowed her pride, cleaned a man's shoe like a slave, and still she had lost everything. She began to walk. She didn't know where she was going. Her feet were numb, the blisters from earlier now screaming in agony. But she couldn't stop. If she stopped, she would collapse. She walked aimlessly through the streets of Manhattan, the towering skyscrapers looking like prison bars enclosing her in a world she didn't belong to. The rain blurred her vision, mixing with the hot tears that finally spilled over. "Why?" she screamed internally. "Why is the world so cruel? Why do the rich get to be monsters while the poor have to be saints just to survive?" She turned a corner onto a darker, quieter street. The wind was fiercer here, howling through the alleyways. And that was when she saw him. Huddled against the brick wall of a closed bakery, sitting in a puddle of muddy water, was an old man. He looked like a pile of rags. His clothes were torn and stained with grease. His hair was matted, gray strands sticking to his forehead with rain. He was shaking so violently that his teeth chattered audibly, a rattling sound that cut through the noise of the storm. People were walking past him. Dozens of them. Businessmen with briefcases held over their heads, couples huddled under large umbrellas, tourists running for cover. They all saw him. They had to see him, but they didn't look. They stepped around him as if he were a pile of garbage bags. A luxury car, a sleek black sedan, sped through a puddle near the curb, sending a wave of brown, filthy sludge splashing over the old man.
He didn't even yell. He just curled tighter into a ball, whimpering. Hana stopped. She watched the taillights of the car fade away. It was the same car. She recognized the license plate. It was Minho's car. He had left the party early, probably heading to an after-party, and his driver hadn't even slowed down. Hana looked at the old man, then down at her own shivering hands. She had nothing. She had just lost her livelihood. She had $7 in her pocket. She was freezing, humiliated, and broken. Logic told her to keep walking. Logic told her she needed to save herself. But Hana's heart was not logical. Her heart was bleeding, and when she saw someone else bleeding, she couldn't look away. She walked over to him. The smell was overpowering. Old sweat, wet wool, and sickness. But she didn't recoil. She knelt down in the puddle beside him, the water soaking immediately into her knees. "Sir," she said softly, "can you hear me?" The old man slowly lifted his head. His eyes were cloudy, rimmed with red. He looked at her with a mixture of fear and confusion. He flinched, as if he expected her to hit him or yell at him to move. "It's okay," Hana said, her voice trembling from the cold. "You're freezing." The old man tried to speak, but only a croak came out. "Hungry," he whispered. "So cold." Hana looked around. The bakery was closed, but there was a 24-hour deli across the street. She touched her pocket. $7. That was her bus fare home and her dinner for the next 2 days. She looked at the old man's shivering hands. They were blue. "Wait here," she said. She stood up, her legs shaking, and ran across the street. She burst into the deli, dripping water onto the linoleum floor. The cashier glared at her, but she ignored him. She bought a cup of hot soup and a bottle of warm tea. It cost $6.50. She had 50 cents left. She ran back across the street, shielding the soup with her body to keep the rain out of it. She knelt back down beside the old man. "Here," she said, opening the lid. "Drink this, it's hot." The old man looked at the soup as if it were liquid gold. His shaking hands couldn't hold the cup, so Hana held it for him, tipping it gently to his lips. He drank greedily, the warmth seeming to bring a little life back into his pale cheeks. When he finished, he looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. "Why?" he rasped, his voice stronger now. "Why help me? Everyone else walked by. You look like you were in trouble too, child." Hana smiled sadly. It was a broken smile. "I am," she admitted. "I lost my job tonight. I have no money. My father is sick. I felt like the world had ended." "Then why give me your last meal?" the old man asked, his eyes suddenly sharp, piercing through the fog of his apparent senility. "Because," Hana said, looking up at the rain falling from the black sky, "because I know what it feels like to be invisible. I know what it feels like to be treated like dirt on someone's shoe. And tonight, I didn't want to be like them. I didn't want to be like the people who hurt me. If I have nothing, I can still be kind. That's the one thing they can't take away from me." The old man stared at her. For a second, the tremor in his hands stopped. He reached out and took her hand. His grip was surprisingly strong. "What is your name, child?" "Hana. My name is Hana." "Hana," the old man repeated, testing the name on his tongue. He looked down at her rough hand, rough from work, stained with the mud of the alley. Then he reached into the deep pocket of his tattered coat. He pulled out something wrapped in a dirty handkerchief. He pressed it into her palm. "Keep this," he said. Hana opened the cloth. Inside was a button, just an old brass button. It looked worthless. She looked at him confused. "It's not much," the old man said, a strange twinkle in his eye. "But bring this to the Lee Empire Tower tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Ask for the chairman's office. Show them this button." Hana didn't want to laugh, but the absurdity of it almost made her hysterical. The Lee Empire Tower? That was where she had just been thrown out of. That was Minho's castle. If she went back there, they would call the police. "Sir, I can't go back there," she said gently. They won't let me in." "They will," the old man said firmly. "Trust me. You saved a life tonight, Hana. The universe has a way of balancing the scales. Tomorrow, the rain stops." He began to cough, a racking sound that shook his thin frame. Hana realized he couldn't stay here. She took off her thin cardigan, the only layer she had over her blouse, and wrapped it around his shoulders. It wasn't much, but it was dry. "I have to go," she said, standing up. "My father is waiting. Please try to find a shelter." She turned and ran toward the subway station, clutching her 50 cents. She didn't look back. If she had, she might have seen the black limousine that pulled up to the curb just seconds after she left. She might have seen the bodyguards jump out with umbrellas, not for themselves, but for the beggar. She might have seen the beggar stand up, his back straightening, the tremor vanishing instantly. She might have seen him get into the car, not as a homeless man, but as a king returning to his throne. But she didn't. She just ran, unaware that the button in her pocket was not brass, it was the key to a kingdom, and unaware that the man she had just saved was the grandfather of the man who had destroyed her. The next morning, the sun did not shine. New York was wrapped in a gray fog, the kind that seeped into your bones. Hana sat by her father's hospital bed. The machines beeped in a rhythmic, monotonous cadence that felt like a countdown. Her father was sleeping, his face pale and gaunt. The doctor had come in an hour ago. The news was bad. They needed the payment by noon, where they would have to transfer him to a state facility, a place where people went to die, not to get better. Hana held her head in her hands. She had no options left. She had called every friend, every relative. No one had money. She was alone. She touched her pocket and felt the hard, round edge of the button the old man had given her. It was a foolish hope, a crazy, desperate hope. But desperation makes people do strange things. "What do I have to lose?" she whispered to the empty room. "They can only throw me out again." She kissed her father's forehead, grabbed her coat, and walked out of the hospital. She took the subway to Manhattan. The ride felt like a funeral procession. Every stop brought her closer to the scene of her humiliation. When she emerged from the station, the Lee Empire Tower loomed above her, piercing the clouds like a spear. It looked impenetrable, a fortress of wealth and power. She walked to the front entrance. The doormen were the same ones from last night. They saw her coming, their faces hardened. "You," one of them sneered, stepping in front of the revolving door. "You got some nerve coming back here. The manager said if we see your face, we call the cops. Get lost." Hana swallowed the lump in her throat. Her hands were shaking, but she clenched them into fists. "Please," she said steadily. "I have an appointment." The doorman laughed. "An appointment? You? With who? The janitor?" "With the chairman." The laughter stopped, replaced by a stunned silence. Then the laughter returned, louder and crueler. "The chairman? You think you can just walk in off the street and see Chairman Lee? He doesn't even see the president without a booking. You're crazy. Go away before I drag you away." Hana didn't move. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the dirty handkerchief. She unwrapped it and held up the brass button. "The old man told me to show this," she said. The doorman squinted at it. "A button? You're showing me a button? Is this a joke?" He reached for his radio. "That's it. I'm calling security." "Wait!" The voice came from behind the doorman. A man in a sharp black suit walked out of the lobby. He wore an earpiece and had the intense, scanning gaze of a head of security. He looked at Hana, then his eyes dropped to the button in her hand. His face went pale. He snatched the button from her hand, examining it closely. On the back of the brass, there was a tiny, intricate engraving of a dragon. It was the personal seal of the Lee family, a seal that hadn't been used in 50 years, a seal that only one man possessed. "Where did you get this?" the security chief asked, his voice low and urgent. A man gave it to me," Hana stammered. "Last night." The security chief looked at her, then at the doorman. "Stand down," he ordered. "But sir, she's the one who spilled the—" "I said stand down," the chief barked. He turned to Hana and bowed. Actually bowed. "Please, miss, follow me, immediately." Hana was led through the lobby, past the staring eyes of the receptionists, past the golden elevators that the public used, to a private elevator in the back that had no buttons. The security chief scanned his fingerprint, and the doors slid open. They shot up, past the 50th floor, past the 80th floor,
all the way to the 100th floor, the penthouse. The doors opened into a room that was bigger than Hana's entire apartment building. The walls were glass, offering a panoramic view of the city. The floor was marble. In the center of the room, sitting behind a desk made of mahogany that looked as old as time, sat a man in a wheelchair. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than a car. He was clean-shaven, his hair perfectly combed. But the eyes, Hana recognized the eyes. It was the beggar. Chairman Lee smiled. It was the same smile he had given her in the alley. "Hello, Hana. I told you the rain would stop." Hana gasped. But you were—" "I was testing," the chairman said, his voice strong and commanding. He wheeled himself around the desk. "I wanted to see if there was any humanity left in this city. I sat on that curb for 6 hours. Hundreds of people walked by. My own executives walked by. My own family drove by." His face darkened when he said family. "Only one person stopped," he said softly. "Only one person gave me their dinner when they were starving. Only one person gave me a coat when they were freezing. You." Hana didn't know what to say. "Sir, I didn't know." "That is why it matters," the chairman said. "If you knew, it would have been business. Because you didn't know, it was kindness. And kindness, Hana, is the most expensive currency in the world. I intend to pay my debt." He pressed a button on his desk. The heavy oak doors to the office swung open. 2 people walked in. The first was a lawyer carrying a thick stack of documents. The second was Min-ho. Min-ho looked annoyed. He was checking his watch, clearly irritated at being summoned. "Grandpa, I have a meeting with the investors in 20 minutes. What is this about? You can't just—" He stopped. He saw Hana standing in the middle of the office. His eyes widened. His jaw dropped. "You? What is she doing here?" He turned to the security chief. "Who let her in? I told you she was blacklisted. Get her out. She's a stalker." "Quiet." The chief's voice cracked like a whip. Min-ho flinched. He had never heard his grandfather raise his voice like that. "She is not a stalker," the chairman said. "She is my guest of honor, and she is the reason you are still in this room." Min-ho looked confused. "Grandpa, what are you talking about? She's a waitress. She ruined my suit last night." "I know," the chairman said calmly. "I saw." You saw?" "I see everything, Min-ho. I saw you humiliate her. I saw you make her wipe your shoes. I saw you kick her out into the rain. And then I saw her save my life." Min-ho froze. "Save your life?" "I was the beggar in the alley, Min-ho, the one you splashed with mud." Min-ho's face drained of color. He looked like he was going to be sick. He looked from his grandfather to Hana, connecting the dots. That was you? But why?" "To see if my grandson was worthy of my empire," the chairman said. "The verdict is in. You are not." Min-ho stepped back. "Grandpa, please, it was a mistake. I didn't know it was you. If I knew—" "Exactly," the chairman roared, slamming his hand on the desk. "You treat people well only if they are powerful. That is not a leader. That is a tyrant. I built this company on service. You are turning it into a playground for your ego. I have decided to change my will." The lawyer stepped forward and opened the folder. He cleared his throat. "As of this morning, Chairman Lee has revised his estate plan. The entirety of the Lee Empire Group, its assets, its properties, and its liquid cash will be placed in a trust." Min-ho let out a breath. "A trust? Okay, that's standard. I control the trust, right?" "No," the chairman said. He pointed a shaking finger at Hana. "Her." Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. Hana felt her knees weak. "Sir, no, I can't." Min-ho looked like he had been shot. "Her? Are you insane? She's a nobody. She cleans tables. She can't run a billion-dollar company." "She has the character of a CEO," the chairman said. "You have the skills, but you have no heart. She has the heart, but she needs the skills. So, here is the deal." The chairman leaned forward, his eyes locking onto his grandson. "You will not inherit a dime unless you marry her." Min-ho choked. Marry her? I'm engaged to Sojin. Cancel it, the chairman said coldly. You will marry Hana. You will live with her, you will learn from her, and she will learn from you. You will teach her the business, she will teach you how to be a human being. The marriage will last for 1 year. If, after 1 year, she decides you are still a piece of trash, she gets everything, and you get nothing. If she decides you have changed, then, and only then, will you share the inheritance. He pressed a button on his desk. The heavy oak doors to the office swung open. Another 2 people walked in. The 2 people were Hana's father and his doctor. The doctor was holding a clipboard and an expensive pen. He looked at Hana, then at Min-ho with a mixture of confusion and awe. Hana looked at her father, who looked shocked, dazed but also hopeful. Hana knew she shouldn't be thinking about it, but the sheath was still cold and damp. It was a nagging reminder of something previously unknown. Hana looked at Min-ho. He was looking at her with pure hatred. His eyes promised retribution. His eyes promised that if she said yes, he would make her life a living hell. But then she thought of her father. She thought of the cold rain. She thought of the shoe. She wiped her tears. She stood up straight. She looked Min-ho in the eye. I'll do it, she said. Min-ho screamed. I won't. I will never marry this garbage. Then leave, the chairman said calmly. The door is there. Walk out, and you walk out with nothing. No credit cards, no car, no apartment. You will be the beggar in the alley. Min-ho stopped. He looked at the door. He looked at his luxurious life. He looked at Hana. He was trapped. He was a rat in a cage, and the waitress held the key. He clenched his jaw so hard a vein popped in his neck. Fine, he hissed. I'll marry her, but don't expect me to be a husband. This is a business deal, nothing more. The chairman smiled, a dangerous, knowing smile. We'll see.
The wedding ceremony took exactly 3 minutes. There were no flowers, there was no white dress, there was no music. It happened in a sterile conference room in City Hall, under the buzzing fluorescent lights that made everyone look pale and sick. Hana wore her only good outfit, a gray skirt suit she had bought at a thrift store for job interviews. It was slightly too big in the shoulders, making her look small and fragile next to Min-ho. Min-ho did not wear a tuxedo. He wore the same suit he had worn to work that morning, treating this event like a dental appointment he wanted to get over with. When the judge asked him to place the ring on her finger, Min-ho didn't gently slide it on. He jammed the platinum band onto her finger with force, his eyes staring over her shoulder at the wall, refusing to acknowledge her existence. The ring was heavy, holding a diamond that was worth more than the entire neighborhood Hana grew up in, but it felt like a handcuff. It was cold, heavy, and it didn't fit. "You may kiss the bride," the judge said, looking between them with a confused expression. The tension in the room was so thick it was suffocating. Min-ho finally looked at her, his lip curled in a sneer. He leaned in close, so close she could smell his expensive cologne mixed with the scent of his anger. "In your dreams, trash," he whispered. He turned and walked out of the room without looking back. The lawyer, Mr. Kim, looked at Hana with pity. He handed her a folder. "Here is the copy of the certificate, Mrs. Lee. The car is waiting outside to take you to the penthouse. Your father's surgery has already begun. The chairman keeps his promises." Hana clutched the folder to her chest. Mrs. Lee? The name sounded foreign. She wasn't Mrs. Lee. She was just Hana, the waitress who had made a deal with the devil to save her father. She walked out to the waiting black limousine. Min-ho was already inside, typing furiously on his phone. The partition between the driver and the passengers was up. They were alone. The car glided through the streets of Manhattan. The rain had stopped, but the city was gray and uninviting. Min-ho didn't speak for 20 minutes. The silence was weaponized. It was designed to make her feel small. Finally, as the car approached the private entrance of the Lee Empire Tower, Min-ho stopped typing. He didn't turn his head. He spoke to the window. "Let's get the ground rules straight," he said, his voice monotone. Hana straightened her back. She was terrified, but she wouldn't let him see it. She had promised herself she wouldn't cry in front of him again. "I'm listening," she said softly.
Rule number 1, Minho said. You are not my wife. You are a squatter in my house. You do not speak to me unless I speak to you. Rule number 2, you do not touch my things. You do not go into my office. You do not enter the master bedroom. You will sleep in the guest quarters down the hall. Rule number 3, when we are in public, you will smile. You will act like the luckiest woman alive. You will play the role of the blushing bride. But the moment the door closes, you become a ghost. Do you understand? Hana looked at his reflection in the window. He was so handsome, yet so ugly inside. I understand, she said. Good, Minho said. And one more thing. Don't get comfortable. I give you 1 week before you run back to your slum crying. I will make sure of it. The car stopped. The doorman opened the door. Welcome home, Mr. Lee, Mrs. Lee. Minho put on a fake smile instantly. It was terrifying how quickly he could switch masks. He grabbed Hana's hand, squeezing it hard enough to bruise, and pulled her out of the car. Darling, careful of the step, he said loudly, for the benefit of the doorman and the few paparazzi lurking nearby. They took the elevator to the penthouse. The doors opened, revealing the sprawling living room she had seen yesterday. But without the chairman there, the room felt vast and empty. It was decorated in black marble and chrome. It felt like a museum, not a home. Where is my room? Hana asked, pulling her hand away from his the moment the elevator doors closed. Minho laughed, a cruel, dry sound. Your room? Oh, right. Follow me. He led her down a long hallway past rooms with beautiful oak doors. He walked past the guest suites. He walked past the library. He walked all the way to the end of the hall near the kitchen service entrance. He opened a narrow door. Here, he said. Hana looked inside. It was a storage room. It had a small window that looked out at a brick wall. There were boxes of old files stacked in the corner. There was a single twin bed shoved against the wall with no sheets, just a bare mattress. It smelled of dust and cleaning chemicals. This is the maid's room, Hana said, looking at him in shock. You have 5 guest bedrooms. Minho leaned against the doorframe, crossing his arms. The guest bedrooms are for guests. You are not a guest. You are hired help. You wanted to marry me for my money, right? Well, you can earn your keep. This room is fitting for a gold digger. Hana felt the tears stinging her eyes, but she bit the inside of her cheek until she tasted blood. She would not give him the satisfaction. Fine, she said. It's clean. That's enough. Minho looked disappointed. He wanted her to scream. He wanted her to fight so he could crush her. Her silence annoyed him. Get changed, he snapped. We have a visitor coming for dinner, and you are cooking. Cooking? Hana asked. But you have a private chef. I gave him the night off, Minho said with a smirk. If you're going to be the lady of the house, you should know how to serve your husband. Dinner is at 8. Don't burn it. He slammed the door in her face. Hana stood in the small, dusty room. She sat down on the bare mattress. She took a deep breath. Her father was in surgery right now. The best doctors were saving his life. This room, this humiliation, this was the price, and she would pay it. She found some old sheets in a closet down the hall and made the bed. She unpacked her small suitcase, hanging her 3 dresses on the single hook on the wall. Then she rolled up her sleeves, tied her hair back, and walked to the kitchen. The kitchen was like a spaceship. Stainless steel appliances, gadgets she didn't know how to use, and a refrigerator stocked with ingredients she'd only seen in magazines. Wagyu beef, truffles, imported caviar. She decided to keep it simple. She would make a traditional Korean stew, kimchi jjigae, and some grilled beef. It was comfort food. Maybe, just maybe, if she made something warm and home-cooked, it would melt a little bit of the ice in this house. She spent 2 hours chopping, seasoning, and tasting. The kitchen began to smell delicious, spicy, and savory. For a moment, she forgot where she was. She was just Hana, cooking dinner. At 7:59 p.m., the front door buzzer rang. Hana wiped her hands on a towel and walked to the living room. Minho was already there, holding a glass of scotch. He was wearing casual clothes now, a cashmere sweater that looked softer than a cloud. He pressed the button to open the door. Who is coming? Hana asked. You'll see, Minho said, staring at the door with a look of anticipation. The elevator doors opened, and Hana's heart stopped. Walking out of the elevator, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing a dress that was barely more than a slip of black silk, was So Jin, the woman who had tripped her, the woman who had started this nightmare. So-jin walked in as if she owned the place. She threw her coat on the sofa without looking. "Minho, darling!" She ran to him and kissed him on the cheek, lingering far too long. "I missed you." Minho smiled, a real smile, not the fake one he gave Hana. "I missed you too. Thanks for coming on such short notice." So-jin turned and saw Hana standing by the kitchen entrance. Her face twisted into a mock expression of surprise. "Oh my God, she's actually here. I thought you were joking." Hana stood frozen. "Why is she here?" she whispered. Minho walked over to So-jin and wrapped his arm around her waist. He looked at Hana with cold eyes. "This is my house, Hana. I invite who I want. So-jin is my business partner. She is staying for dinner. I hope you made enough." So-jin giggled. "Oh, don't worry, Minho. I'm sure she made something rustic. Peasant food is so trendy right now." She walked up to Hana, looking her up and down. "So, the waitress becomes the wife. It's like a fairy tale, except the prince hates the princess and the castle is a prison." Hana didn't respond. She turned around and went back to the kitchen. Her hands were shaking so hard she almost dropped the ladle. He had brought his mistress into their home on the first night. It was a declaration of war. She served the food. She carried the heavy pot to the dining table. She set 3 places. Minho and So-jin sat down. Hana went to sit in the 3rd chair. So-jin said, holding up a finger. "What do you think you're doing?" Hana paused. "I'm sitting down to eat." Minho took a sip of his wine. "The help usually eats in the kitchen, don't they?" Hana looked at him. "I am not the help. I am your wife." "On paper," Minho said. "But look at you. You smell like garlic and poverty. I can't eat with that smell next to me. Eat in the kitchen." Hana felt a tear escape. She couldn't stop it this time. She looked at the food she had spent hours making. She looked at the man she had married to save her father. She looked at the woman smirking at her misery. She picked up her bowl. She picked up her chopsticks. She didn't say a word. She walked back into the kitchen and sat at the small prep counter. She ate alone, listening to the sound of Minho and So-jin laughing in the dining room. Every laugh felt like a slap in the face. After dinner, Hana came out to clear the table. So-jin was lounging on the sofa, her head on Minho's lap. She watched Hana stack the duty plates. "Oops," So-jin said. She knocked her wine glass off the coffee table. Red wine splashed under the white wool rug. Minho looked at the stain, then he looked at Hana. "Clean it up," So-jin said, smiling innocently. "You're good at cleaning stains, aren't you? That's how you got the ring, right? By wiping shoes?" Hana stared at the red stain. It looked like blood. Rage flared in her chest, a hot, burning fire. She wanted to scream. She wanted to throw the plates at them. But she remembered the hospital. She remembered the button. She remembered the chairman's words. Tame the beast. You cannot tame a beast by barking back. You tame it by being stronger than its cruelty. Hana put the plates down. She walked over to the closet and got the cleaning supplies. She knelt on the rug, just like she had knelt at the party. She began to scrub the wine stain. "Look at her, Minho. She's a natural. You really saved money on a maid service." Minho didn't laugh this time. He was watching Hana. He was watching the straight line of her back. He was watching the way she didn't cry, didn't complain, didn't beg. She just worked. There was a quiet dignity in her silence that unsettled him. It made him feel small, and he hated feeling small. "Leave it," Minho said suddenly. His voice was rough. "What's wrong with you?" So-jin asked, pouting. "Why did you yell at me?" Minho ran his hair through his hair. "Go home, So-jin." "But I thought I was staying." "Not tonight," Minho said. He walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. "Get out." So-jin huffed, grabbed her purse, and stormed out. Minho was alone in the silent penthouse. He walked down the hallway. He stood outside the storage room door. He could hear soft sounds inside. Was she crying? He leaned closer. She wasn't crying. She was humming, a soft, gentle melody. It was the song she had hummed to the old man in the alley when she gave him the soup. Minho backed away as if burned. "Who is she?" he whispered to the darkness. And why doesn't she hate me yet? The next morning, the war escalated. Hana woke up at 5 a.m. The mattress was hard, and her back ached, but she was up before the sun. She showered in the small servant's bathroom and put on her gray suit. She went to the kitchen and made coffee. When Min-ho walked into the kitchen at 7 a.m., expecting an empty house, he found breakfast on the table. Toast, eggs, coffee, and a small bowl of fruit. And sitting at the table, reading the financial section of the newspaper, was Hana. She looked up. "Good morning," she said brightly. Min-ho blinked. He expected a broken woman. He found a CEO in training. "What are you doing?" he asked suspiciously. "Reading," Hana said. "If I am to be the wife of the heir, I need to understand the market. Did you know the Lee Group stocks dropped 2% yesterday because of the rumors about your engagement? Investors are nervous. They think you're impulsive." "They don't know anything, and neither do you. Stop pretending you understand business." "I understand that stability creates value," Hana said calmly, "and I understand that right now, I am your stability." Min-ho stopped chewing. He stared at her. She wasn't just defending herself, she was challenging him. "Get dressed," he said, throwing the apple into the trash. "You represent me now, unfortunately. If you look cheap, I look cheap, and I do not look cheap." An hour later, the penthouse was turned into a fashion runway. A team of stylists swarmed Hana, pulling her into dresses that cost more than a car. They did her hair, her makeup. When they were finished, they turned her toward the mirror. Hana gasped. The woman in the mirror was unrecognizable. She was wearing a cream-colored power suit that fit her like a second skin. Her hair was sleek and shiny. Her makeup highlighted her large, expressive eyes. She looked powerful. She looked rich. Min-ho walked in. He stopped. He looked her up and down. For a second, just a second, his guard dropped. He looked impressed. "Well?" Hana asked, feeling self-conscious. Min-ho recovered his mask. "It's adequate. Better than the rags. Let's go." They arrived at the Lee Empire Tower. This time they entered through the front door. The doorman who had mocked her yesterday was there. When he saw Min-ho, he rushed to open the door. Then he saw the woman next to him. He froze. He recognized her eyes. "Good morning," Hana said to the doorman, smiling kindly. The doorman turned pale. Good morning, ma'am." They walked to the elevator. Min-ho leaned in. "Why were you nice to him? He treated you like garbage." "Because," Hana said, looking straight ahead, "if I treat him like garbage back, then I am no better than you." Min-ho stiffened. The elevator doors opened on the executive floor. The boardroom was full. 12 old men in gray suits sat around a long table. They all turned to look as Min-ho and Hana entered. "Gentlemen," Min-ho announced, his voice booming, "meet my wife, Hana Lee." The board members whispered. They looked at her with skepticism. A waitress? A nobody? Hana felt her fear rising, but she touched the button in her pocket. The old man believed in her. She had to believe in herself. She walked to the head of the table. She didn't sit down. She placed her hands on the leather surface and looked at the men. "I know what you were thinking," she said, her voice clear and strong. "You were thinking I don't belong here. You were thinking I am unqualified. And on paper, you were right. I do not have an MBA. I do not have a trust fund. But I know people. I know what they struggle with. I know what they need. And right now, the Lee Empire has lost touch with the people. You build towers for billionaires, but you forget the people who build them. I am here to remind you." The room went silent. Min-ho stared at her. He had expected her to stutter. He had expected her to fail. Instead, she had commanded the room. One of the board members, an old man with a skeptical face, leaned forward. "Nice speech, young lady, but speeches don't make profits." "No," Hana countered instantly, "but integrity does. And starting today, integrity is back on the agenda." The meeting lasted 2 hours. Hana didn't speak much after that, but she listened. She took notes. She absorbed everything. When they walked out, Min-ho was quiet. "You weren't terrible," he muttered as they walked to his office. Hana smiled. "High praise coming from you." They entered his office, and there, sitting on Minho's desk, swinging her legs, was So-jin. She jumped down when she saw them. "Minho, you took so long. I've been waiting." "What are you doing here, So-jin?" Minho asked, sounding tired. "I came to help," So-jin said, clapping her hands. "Since your wife is so new, I thought I could be her assistant, help her navigate the social calendar, make sure she doesn't embarrass you." Minho looked at Hana. He saw the flash of panic in her eyes. He knew So-jin. He knew this was a trap. So-jin would humiliate Hana at every charity gala, every dinner party. "That's a great idea," Minho said, smiling cruelly. "Hana needs all the help she can get. So-jin, you are hired." Hana felt the floor drop out from under her. He had done it again. Just when she thought they had made progress, he brought the wolf back into the sheep pen. So-jin walked over to Hana and whispered in her ear, "I'm gonna eat you alive, little waitress. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be begging to go back to the gutter." Hana looked at Minho. He was back behind his desk, ignoring them. He had authorized this torture. "Game on," Hana whispered back to So-jin. She wasn't the girl in the rain anymore. She was Mrs. Lee, and she was done being the victim.
2 weeks had passed since the boardroom meeting, and the penthouse had become a battlefield of silence. Hana moved through the rooms like a shadow, avoiding Minho whenever possible. But So-jin was everywhere. She was there in the mornings, drinking coffee from Hana's favorite mug. She was there in the evenings, whispering in Minho's ear while Hana cleared the table. Every day was a test of endurance. But tonight was different. Tonight was the annual Lee Foundation Charity Gala. It was the biggest event of the year, attended by senators, celebrities, and business tycoons. It was also Hana's first official public appearance as Mrs. Lee. The preparations began at noon. So-jin had insisted on taking charge of Hana's wardrobe. She claimed it was to help, but her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. She brought a dress into the storage room where Hana slept. It was a stunning gown, emerald green silk that shimmered like liquid light. "Here," So-jin said, tossing the dress onto the narrow bed. "Wear this. It's from last season, but it should fit someone of your stature. And take this clutch." She handed Hana a small silver purse encrusted with crystals. "It matches the shoes. Don't lose it. It costs more than your father's kidney." Hana looked at the dress. It was beautiful. Too beautiful. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, suspicious. So-jin shrugged. "Minho doesn't want to be embarrassed. If you look like a maid, he looks like a fool. Just put it on and try not to trip over your own feet." Hana dressed in silence. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. The emerald silk hugged her frame, giving her an elegance she didn't know she possessed. She pulled her hair back into a simple bun and picked up the silver clutch. It felt heavy in her hand. Strange, she thought. It was empty, yet it felt weighted. She checked inside. Just a lipstick and a tissue. She shrugged it off. Maybe expensive bags were just heavier. When she walked into the living room, Minho was fixing his cufflinks. He stopped. His hands froze mid-air. He stared at her. For a long moment, the room was silent. He opened his mouth to say something, maybe something cruel, but the words didn't come out. She looked regal. She looked like she belonged in this penthouse more than he did. So-jin stepped in between them, breaking his line of sight. "Doesn't she look adequate?" So-jin chirped, linking her arm through Minho's. "Let's go. The car is waiting." The gala was held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Great Hall was transformed into a glittering palace of lights and flowers. Waiters with champagne moved through the crowd. A string quartet played softly in the corner. As Minho, So-jin, and Hana entered, flashbulbs erupted. The paparazzi screamed Minho's name. Minho instinctively grabbed So-jin's waist, posing for the cameras. Then he remembered. He stiffened and stepped away from So-jin. He turned to Hana. He grabbed her hand. His grip was firm, professional, and cold. "Smile," he hissed through his teeth. "You are the happy wife. Remember rule number 3. Hana plastered a smile on her face. It felt tight and fake. She waved at the cameras, blinding white lights flashing in her eyes. Inside, she was trembling. She felt like an imposter. Every whisper she heard seemed to be about her. "Is that the waitress? Look at her dress, probably rented. She looks terrified."
They moved into the ballroom. The main event of the night was the auction of the Moonlight Tear, a rare blue diamond necklace donated by the Lee family ancestors. It was displayed in a glass case in the center of the room, guarded by 2 large security officers. The diamond was mesmerizing, glowing with a soft blue light. "It's beautiful," Hana whispered. "Don't get any ideas," Sojin's voice came from behind her. "It's not for people like you. It's for people who matter." Hana ignored her and walked away to the buffet table. She needed water. Her throat was dry from nerves. As she drank, she felt a heavy presence beside her. She turned. It was Min-ho. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the crowd. "You're doing okay," he muttered almost reluctantly. "You haven't spilled anything yet." Hana looked at his profile. "Is that all the expectation you have of me, that I won't make a mess?" Min-ho turned to her. His eyes were less cold than usual, confused almost. "You surprised the board. You surprised the doorman. You surprised my grandfather. I'm just waiting to see if it's an act." "It's not an act," Hana said softly. "I'm just trying to survive, Min-ho, just like you." Min-ho frowned. "Just like me? I don't survive. I rule." "Do you?" Hana asked, looking at Sojin across the room, who was flirting with the senator. "Or do you just let people tell you who you are?" Min-ho opened his mouth to retort, but the lights suddenly dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage. The auction was beginning. "Ladies and gentlemen," the auctioneer announced, "the moment we have all been waiting for, the Moonlight Tear. Bidding starts at $5 million. The crowd gasped. The security guards unlocked the glass case to bring the necklace to the stage for the final showing. One guard reached in. He froze. The case was empty. The diamond was gone. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The guard shouted into his radio, "Lock down! Seal the exits! The necklace is missing!" Panic erupted. The doors to the Great Hall slammed shut. Security guards swarmed the room. The music stopped. The wealthy guests looked around in confusion and outrage. Min-ho stepped forward, his face dark. "What is going on?" "Someone stole it!" Sojin screamed, her voice piercing through the noise. She pointed a shaking finger. "It was her!" Every head turned. Sojin was pointing directly at Hana. Hana's eyes went wide. "Me? What? No, I was standing right here." "I saw her," Sojin cried, running to Min-ho's side, clutching his arm. "I saw her hovering by the case earlier. She was staring at it. And look at her bag. It looks heavy." Min-ho looked at Hana. His face was unreadable. "Min-ho," Hana pleaded, stepping back, "I didn't take anything. This is crazy. Why would I steal it?" "Because you're a gold digger," Sojin shouted. "You need money for your father, don't you? $5 million would solve all your problems. Open the bag." The security chief, the same one from the office, stepped forward. "Mrs. Lee, please, just open the bag so we can clear this up." Hana's hands shook violently. She looked at Min-ho, begging him to stop this, to defend her. He was her husband. He was supposed to protect her. But Min-ho just stared at her. The doubt was there. The old prejudice was there. She was poor. She was desperate. Of course she would steal. It fit his narrative. It was easier to believe she was a thief than to admit she was good. "Open it," Min-ho commanded. Hana let out a sob. She unclasped the silver clutch. She tipped it over. The lipstick fell out. The tissue fell out. And then, with a heavy clatter, the blue diamond necklace slid out and landed on the marble floor. The crowd gasped. The silence was deafening. Min-ho stared at the necklace. He felt like he had been punched in the gut. He looked up at Hana. The look in his eyes broke her heart. It wasn't anger. It was validation. "See," his eyes said, "I was right about you." "You thief," Min-ho whispered. "You actually did it." "No," Hana screamed, dropping the bag. "I didn't, I swear. I've never seen that before. Someone put it there." "Save it," Sojin sneered. "We all saw it fall out of your bag. Min-ho, call the police. She's disgraced us. She's disgraced the family. Grandpa will have to disown her now." Min-ho looked at Hana. The disgust on his face was absolute. "I gave you a chance," he spat. "I let you into my house. I let you wear my name. And this is how you repay me? By stealing from a charity?" He turned to the security chief. "Arrest her. Take her to the police station. I want annulment papers drafted by morning." 2 guards grabbed Hana's arms. She struggled, tears streaming down her face. "Min-ho, please, listen to me. It's a trap. Sojin gave me this bag. She gave it to me." Sojin laughed, a cruel tinkling sound. "Oh, please, now she's blaming me? I tried to help you. I tried to dress you up so you wouldn't look like a peasant." Min-ho turned his back on Hana. "Get her out of here." Hana was dragged toward the exit. The flashes of the cameras were blinding now, documenting her shame. She had lost. It was over. Her father would be thrown out of the hospital. She would go to jail. "Wait!" The voice boomed through the speakers of the hall. It wasn't the auctioneer. It was a deep, distorted voice coming from the main screen on the stage. The large screen flickered. The logo of the charity auction disappeared. In its place, a grainy black and white video feed appeared. It was CCTV footage. Everyone stopped. Min-ho turned around. Hana stopped struggling. The footage showed the hallway outside the restrooms, 10 minutes before the auction began. It showed Hana washing her hands inside the bathroom. Then the camera switched to the hallway. It showed Sojin. Sojin was holding the silver clutch bag. She looked around nervously. She reached into her bra and pulled out the blue diamond necklace. She shoved it deep into the lining of the silver bag. She smoothed the bag, checked her reflection, and walked into the bathroom. A moment later, she walked out without the bag. Then Hana walked out holding the bag. The video ended. The screen went black. The silence in the room was heavier than before. It was the silence of a bomb that had just gone off. Every eye in the room shifted from Hana to Sojin. Sojin's face lost all color. She stumbled back. That's fake. It's deep fake. Someone doctored it." Min-ho stared at the screen. His brain was processing what he had just seen. He replayed the last 2 weeks in his head. Sojin offering to help. Sojin being nice. Sojin giving Hana the bag. It was all a lie. He turned to Sojin. The look on his face was terrifying. It was the calm before the storm. "You stole the necklace," Min-ho said, his voice quiet. "You stole my family heirloom, and you planted it on my wife." "Min-ho, baby, listen to me," Sojin stammered, grabbing his lapels. "She's brainwashing you. That video isn't real." Min-ho grabbed her wrists and shoved her away. He looked at her with pure revulsion. "I stood there and let you humiliate her. I almost sent an innocent woman to jail because I trusted you." He turned to the security chief. "Arrest her." "Me?" Sojin shrieked. "You can't arrest me. My father is—" "I don't care who your father is," Min-ho roared, his voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling. "You are a thief and a liar. Get her out of my sight." The guards released Hana and grabbed Sojin. She screamed and kicked as she was dragged away, cursing Hana's name until the heavy doors slammed shut. Min-ho stood alone in the center of the room. The crowd was whispering again, but the tone had changed. They were looking at him with judgment. They were looking at Hana with pity. Min-ho slowly turned to Hana. She was standing by the door, rubbing her bruised wrists. Her mascara was running down her cheeks. Her beautiful emerald dress was rumpled. She looked broken. Min-ho walked toward her. His legs felt heavy. He stopped 3 feet away. He wanted to say something. He wanted to say sorry, but the word tasted like ash in his mouth. He had never apologized to anyone in his life. He didn't know how. Hana looked at him. Her eyes were dull. "You believed her," she whispered. "You didn't even hesitate. You wanted it to be true." Min-ho flinched. "Hana, the evidence, it was in your bag." "You are supposed to be my partner," Hana said, her voice shaking. "Even if it's a fake marriage, you are supposed to have my back. But you are just like them. You see a poor person and you see a criminal." She took off the ring. She struggled with it, pulling the heavy diamond off her finger. She threw it at his chest. It bounced off his expensive tuxedo and clattered onto the floor. "I'm done," Hana said. I'll sleep in the park. I'll figure out my father's bills, but I won't stay in a house with a man who hates me." She turned and ran out of the ballroom into the dark New York night. Min-ho stood there, the diamond ring lying at his feet. He looked at the ring. He looked at the door where Hana had vanished. The rain had started again outside. He clenched his fist. He didn't run after her. He wasn't ready yet. He didn't deserve to run after her yet. He picked up the ring and put it in his pocket. "Prepare the car," he told the security chief. "We're going to the hospital, sir?" the chief asked. "No," Min-ho said, his eyes hard. "We are going to the slum. I need to see where she came from. I need to understand what I just threw away."
Hana was not at the apartment. She was sitting on a plastic chair in the waiting room of the hospital. It was 3 a.m. The surgery was over. The doctor had come out an hour ago and told her the news. He made it. It was a miracle. The chairman's surgeon is a wizard. Her father was sleeping in the ICU. He was going to live. Hana should have been happy, but she felt hollow. She'd saved him, but she had lost herself. She had let Min-ho believe she was a thief. She had walked away from the only chance she had to lift her family out of poverty permanently. The chairman's deal was broken. She'd walked out before the year was up. She would get nothing. She stared at the diamond ring she had thrown at Min-ho. Wait, she checked her finger. It was bare. She realized she had left the ring at the gala. She had nothing. No job, no husband, no money. "Excuse me, miss?" Hana looked up. A nurse was standing there, holding a clipboard. "Are you Hana Lee?" Hana flinched at the name. "Just Hana," she whispered. "There's a visitor for you," the nurse said. He's causing a bit of a scene. He refuses to leave until he sees you." Hana stood up. Was it the police? Had Min-ho pressed charges? She walked to the lobby of the hospital. And there he was. Min-ho Lee, the Prince of New York. But he didn't look like a prince. He looked like a car crash. His left eye was purple and swollen shut. His lip was stitched with dried blood. His tuxedo shirt was torn open, revealing a large bruise on his chest. He was holding an ice pack to his head with one hand, and in the other hand, he was holding a bouquet of cheap gas station flowers, carnations, the kind you buy for $5. Hana stopped. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Min-ho?" Min-ho looked up. He tried to smile, but winced in pain. "Hey," he croaked. "What happened to you?" Hana asked, running over to him. She forgot her anger for a second. The instinct to help was too strong. "Did you get mugged?" I went to your apartment," Min-ho mumbled. "Some guys came. They wanted your books. I didn't let them take your books." Hana stared at him. "You fought the Red Vipers for my textbooks?" Min-ho shrugged and then groaned. "Stupid, right? I have a black card. I could have bought you a library. But I didn't want them to touch your things." He held out the crushed bouquet of carnations. "I couldn't find a florist open," he said, looking at the cheap plastic wrap with shame. "These are ugly. They aren't good enough for you. I know. I'm not good enough for you." Hana looked at the flowers. Then she looked at his battered face. "Why are you here, Min-ho?" Min-ho took a deep breath. He dropped the ice pack. He grabbed her hand. "Because I saw the video," he said. Hana pulled her hand away. "So? You saw the video and realized you were wrong. Congratulations, you did the bare minimum of human decency. Do you want a medal?" "No," Min-ho said. "I don't want a medal. I want to beg." He slowly, painfully lowered himself onto one knee. The nurses in the lobby gasped. People pulled out their phones. Min-ho Lee, the billionaire, was kneeling on the dirty floor of a hospital lobby, looking like a beggar. "Hana," he said, looking up at her with his one good eye, "I have been rich my whole life. I thought that made me valuable. I thought money was the only way to keep score. But tonight, when I saw you walk away, I felt poor. I felt like I had absolutely nothing." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the ring. "I accused you of stealing a diamond," he said, his voice cracking. "But you were the diamond.
I was just the stone that couldn't see the shine." He held up the ring. "Please, come back. Not for the contract, not for the grandfather. Come back because I don't want to live in that big empty house without the smell of your garlic stew. Come back because you were the only person who ever told me the truth." Hana looked down at him. Her heart was pounding. It was a beautiful speech. It was a grand gesture. But was it enough? She looked at his bruised knuckles. He had fought for her. He had come to her world. She took the ring. Minho's face lit up with hope. Hana looked at the diamond. Then she looked at him. "Get up," she said softly. Minho stood up, wobbling slightly. Hana took his hand. She placed the ring back in his palm and closed his fingers over it. Minho's face fell. "Hana? You think you can fix this with a fight and some flowers?" Hana asked, her voice sad but firm. "Minho, you humiliated me in front of the world. You didn't trust me. Trust isn't built in a night, and forgiveness isn't bought with a black eye." She stepped back. "If you really want me back, Minho, you have to earn it. Not with your money, not with your fists. You have to earn it by becoming the man your grandfather thinks you are." She turned around. "Go home, Minho. Heal your wounds. When you are ready to be a partner, not a boss, then come find me. Until then, I'm staying here with my father." She walked back towards the ICU doors. Minho stood there, holding the ring and the cheap flowers. He watched her go. He was rejected. He was hurt. But for the first time, he wasn't angry. He was determined. "Challenge accepted, Mrs. Lee," he whispered. Minho didn't go home to the penthouse. He didn't go to the Hamptons. The next morning, the employees of the Lee Empire Group arrived at work to find a shock. Minho Lee was in the lobby. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was wearing jeans and a polo shirt. He wasn't taking the private elevator. He was standing at the front desk. "Good morning," he said to the doorman he had terrified for years. "How is your family?" The doorman stammered. "Fine, sir." "Good," Minho said. He walked to the elevator. He pressed the button for the 10th floor, the customer service department. He walked into the call center. The manager ran over. "Mr. Lee, what are you doing here?" "I'm working," Minho said. "Put me on a headset." "Sir, my wife said I need to understand what people struggle with, so I'm going to start from the bottom. Teach me how to answer the phones." The redemption arc had begun. Minho was going to rebuild himself, brick by brick, until he was a man worthy of Hana. But he didn't know that the danger was over. So-jin was in jail, but her father, the tech mogul, was not, and he was furious. He was planning a revenge that would threaten not just Minho's company, but Hana's life.
For 30 days, Minho Lee did not step foot in the executive suite. He did not wear a suit. He did not eat at Michelin-star restaurants. He sat in a cubicle on the 10th floor, wearing a headset that pinched his ears, listening to customers scream at him. He listened to a single mother crying because her rent was increased by a Lee subsidiary. He listened to a small business owner begging for an extension on a lease. He listened to the pulse of the city he had ignored his entire life. And for the first time, he didn't just listen, he acted. He used his personal savings to anonymously pay off the rent for the single mother. He rewrote the lease agreement for the small business owner, bypassing the legal department. He became a legend on the 10th floor, the billionaire who brought coffee for the interns. Meanwhile, Hana stayed at the hospital. Her father was recovering fast. He was moved to a private suite filled with flowers. The nurses told her that an anonymous donor had covered all expenses for the next 10 years. Hana knew who it was. She saw the carnations mixed in with the expensive orchids. She knew Minho was trying, but she was scared to believe him. She was scared that if she went back, the fairy tale would turn into a horror movie again. But peace never lasts long in the world of the ultra-rich. On the 31st day, the storm hit. Chairman Park, So-jin's father, decided to burn the Lee Empire to the ground. He was a man with connections to the media, the banks, and the underworld. He released a story to every major news outlet. The headline screamed, "The Beggar Princess, How a Waitress Scammed the Lee Family." The article was vicious.
It claimed Hana had seduced the senile chairman. It claimed she was a gold digger who had manipulated a mentally ill old man to trap Min-ho into a marriage. It claimed she had a criminal record, which was a lie fabricated by Park's lawyers. The stock market reacted instantly. The Lee Group shares plummeted by 40% in one morning. Investors panicked. The board of directors called an emergency meeting. They demanded Min-ho attend. Min-ho walked into the boardroom wearing his jeans and polo shirt. The room was chaotic. The directors were shouting. "Min-ho," one director yelled, "this is a disaster. The public hates her. They think we are being run by a fraudster. You have to divorce her, now." "Yes," another director agreed. "Chairman Park has offered to stop the media attacks if you announce the divorce today. He will inject capital to save the stock. You have to choose, Min-ho, the company or the girl." Min-ho stood at the head of the table. He looked at the men who had known him since he was a boy. He looked at the ticker on the screen showing his inheritance evaporating by the second. A month ago, he would have signed the papers without blinking. A month ago, money was his god. But he remembered the smell of the garlic stew. He remembered Hana scrubbing the wine stain. He remembered her defending him when he was nothing but a bully. "No," Min-ho said quietly. The room went silent. "Excuse me?" the director asked. "I said no," Min-ho repeated, his voice gaining strength. "I will not divorce her. She is not a scammer. She is the only honest person in this entire building. If the stock goes to zero, let it go to zero. I would rather be broke with her than rich with you vultures." "You are insane," the director screamed. "You will lose everything. The chairman's trust is tied to the stock value. You will be destitute." "So be it," Min-ho said. He turned to leave, but the door opened. Hana walked in. She was pale. She was holding a newspaper with her face on the cover. She looked at Min-ho, then at the angry directors. "Stop," she said. Her voice was shaking, but her eyes were clear. "Hana," Min-ho said, stepping toward her, "don't listen to them. It's all lies." "I know," Hana said, "but they are right about one thing. Min-ho, look at the screen. You are losing your legacy. Your grandfather built this empire. I cannot be the reason it falls." She walked to the table. She reached into her bag and pulled out a document. It was the divorce papers. She had already signed them. "Here," she said to the directors, "this is what you want. I waive all rights to the Lee fortune. I take nothing. Just save the company." "Hana, no!" Min-ho shouted. He grabbed the papers from the director's hand. "I don't care about the company." "But I do," Hana cried, tears finally spilling over. "I care about you, Min-ho. You were born for this. I saw you in the call center. I saw how you helped those people. You can be a great leader, but you can't lead if you are destroyed. Please, let me go." She reached out and touched his face. Her hand was warm. "You earned it, Min-ho," she whispered. "You became the man I knew you could be. That's enough for me." She turned to walk away. The directors sighed of relief. The crisis was averted. The girl was leaving. But then a sound filled the room, a slow, rhythmic clapping. Clap, clap, clap. Everyone turned. The heavy oak doors at the back of the room swung open. Chairman Lee wheeled himself in, but he wasn't alone. He was flanked by police officers, and behind him, 2 officers were dragging a man in handcuffs. It was Chairman Park, So-jin's father. "Grandfather?" Min-ho gasped. The chairman stopped in the center of the room. He looked at the directors with pure disdain. Then he looked at Hana with pride. "You foolish girl," the chairman said gently. "You think I would let you sacrifice yourself for these idiots?" He turned to the room. "You want the truth? You want to know who the real scammer is?" He pointed to the screen. The stock ticker disappeared. In its place, a video began to play. But it wasn't the alleyway footage. It was a recording from inside Chairman Park's office. It showed Park paying a bribe to a journalist to write the fake story about Hana. It showed Park laughing, saying, "I will crush that waitress and force Min-ho to marry my daughter even if she is in jail." The boardroom gasped. Chairman Park, in handcuffs, looked down at the floor. "I have been recording everything," Chairman Lee said. "I have been playing the senile old man for a long time, but I am wide awake. Chairman Park is going to prison for corporate espionage, blackmail, and defamation." He turned to the directors. "And as for you, you wanted to fire my grandson because he stood by his wife? You are all fired, every single one of you. Get out of my building." The directors scrambled, gathering their papers, running past the police officers. The room cleared out in seconds. Only Minho, Hana, and the chairman remained. The chairman wheeled himself over to Hana. He took the divorce papers from the table. He looked at them, then tore them in half. "Invalid," he declared. He smiled at her. "I told you, Hana, the rain stops." He looked at Minho. "You passed the test, Minho. You were willing to lose it all. That is the only way to deserve to keep it. The company is yours, but only if she agrees to be your boss." The chairman winked, turned his wheelchair, and rolled out of the room, leaving them alone. Minho stood there, looking at Hana. The silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was electric. "You signed the papers," Minho said softly. "You were going to leave me to save my money." "I was going to leave you to save your future," Hana corrected. Minho walked over to her. He took her hands. They were rough, hard-working hands. The hands that saved his grandfather. The hands that cooked him dinner. "Hana," Minho said, "my future is not this building. It's not the stock price. My future is you. I don't want to be the Prince of New York anymore. I just want to be Hana's husband." He reached into his pocket. He pulled out the ring again, but this time he also pulled out something else. It was the brass button, the one the old man had given her. Minho had kept it. "My grandfather gave you this button as a promise," Minho said. "It was the key to the kingdom, but he was wrong." He pressed the button into her palm and closed her fingers over it. "You are the kingdom, Hana, and I am just the man asking for permission to live in it." He got down on one knee again, but this time he wasn't bruised, he wasn't broken, he was whole. "Hana Lee, will you marry me for real this time? No contracts, no expiration dates, just us." Hana looked at him. She saw the arrogance was gone, replaced with love. She saw the boy who fought for her books. She saw the man who learned to answer phones. She smiled, a real, radiant smile that lit up the room. "You still owe me a new pair of shoes," she said. Minho laughed. "I'll buy you a shoe factory." Hana pulled him up by his lapels and kissed him. It wasn't a polite kiss. It was a kiss that sealed a promise. Epilogue, 1 year later. The rain was falling in New York City again, but inside the Lee Empire Tower, it was warm. Hana sat in the CEO's chair. She was wearing a suit, but she had a simple brass button pinned to her lapel. She was reviewing the new policy for the company: fair wages for all service staff. The door opened. Minho walked in. He was holding a tray. "Coffee, Madam CEO?" he asked with a wink. Hana took the cup. "Thank you, Mr. Lee." Minho walked around the desk and kissed her forehead. He looked out the window at the city below. "You know, I drove past that alleyway today, where Grandpa fainted." Hana looked up. "Really? Is the bakery open?" "It is," Minho said, "and there was a new sign in the window: free soup for anyone in need, paid for by the Lee family." Hana leaned back, her heart full. Minho sat on the edge of her desk. He twirled his wedding ring. "You know, everyone thinks the miracle was that a waitress married a billionaire." "What was the miracle?" Hana asked. Minho looked at her with pure adoration. "The miracle was that a billionaire was lucky to be saved by a waitress." Hana laughed, grabbing his kai and pulling him close. "Less talking, more working, Assistant Minho. We have a meeting in 5 minutes." "Yes, boss," Minho whispered. And as the rain washed over the city, the Lee Empire didn't look like a fortress of greed anymore. It looked like a lighthouse, and at the top of the tower, the prince and the waitress ruled not with fear, but with the invincible power of a second chance. The rain had turned into a torrential downpour, the kind that drowned the city in gray noise. Minho sat in the back of his Rolls-Royce, watching the landscape change through the tinted windows. The glass towers of Manhattan faded, replaced by crumbling brick buildings, metal grates over storefronts, and streets littered with wet trash. He had lived in New York his entire life, but he had never been to Queens. To him, it was just a shape on a map, a place where his employees lived, a place he flew over in his helicopter on the way to the Hamptons. "Turn here," he told the driver, looking at the address on the file his private investigator had sent him 5 minutes ago. The car turned onto a narrow, potholed street. It looked alien. There were no doormen here. There were no awnings.
There was just a row of grim, water-stained apartment buildings that looked like they were holding each other up from collapsing. The driver hesitated. "Sir, are you sure? This neighborhood, it's not safe for the car. The rims alone are worth more than this block." "Just park," Minho snapped. He opened the door before the car even fully stopped. He stepped out into a puddle of oil and muddy water. His Italian leather shoes, the same ones Hana had cleaned, were instantly ruined. He didn't care. He looked up at the building. 4B. That was her apartment. He walked into the lobby. The door lock was broken. The mailboxes were dented. The air smelled of stale cigarettes and boiled cabbage. It was a smell of survival. Minho felt a wave of nausea, not from disgust, but from shame. This was where she slept. This was where she woke up every day before coming to serve him in his gold-plated tower. He climbed the stairs. The elevator was out of order, taped off with yellow caution tape that looked years old. 4 flights of stairs. The graffiti on the walls screamed names of gangs and lovers. He reached apartment 4B. The door was thin, the paint peeling. He raised his hand to knock, but he saw that the door was slightly ajar. "Hana?" he called out. No answer. He pushed the door open. The apartment was tiny. It was one room, barely bigger than his walk-in closet. There was a mattress on the floor in the corner. A small hot plate on a crate served as the kitchen. But what struck him was how neat it was. The few clothes she had were folded perfectly. There were books stacked by the bed, textbooks on economics, business management, English literature. He walked over to the makeshift desk. There was a notebook open. He looked at the handwriting. It was neat, meticulous. Budget for Dad's surgery. Waitressing tips, $400. Extra shift at the diner, $80. Sell Mom's locket, $150, maybe. Total needed, $50,000. Minho stared at the numbers. She had been drowning. She had been fighting a war against math that she could never win. And what had he done? He had made her wipe his shoes. He had called her a gold digger. He turned the page. Goals. 1. Pay off Dad's debt. 2. Buy Dad a house with a garden. 3. Go back to school. 4. Be someone who matters. Minho felt a lump in his throat. Be someone who matters. He closed the notebook. He felt like an intruder. He felt small. Suddenly, a heavy banging on the door made him jump. "Open up. I know you're in there, Hana." Minho turned. A man was standing in the doorway. He was huge, wearing a leather jacket soaked in rain. He had a scar running down his cheek and eyes that looked dead. Behind him were 2 other men. "Who were you?" Minho asked. Stepping forward, his voice automatically took on the tone of command he used in boardrooms. The man laughed, a rough, grating sound. "Look at this, a pretty boy in a tuxedo. Did Hana hire a gigolo?" The thugs laughed. The leader stepped into the room, his muddy boots stomping on Hana's clean floor. "Where is she? She owes us this month's interest. The loan sharks don't wait for rain to stop." "She's not here," Minho said, his fists clenching. "Get out of her apartment." The leader sneered. "You think you can give orders here, rich boy? This isn't Park Avenue. You're in my territory. If she's not here, we take collateral." He reached out and grabbed the stack of textbooks. He ripped the cover off the top one. Minho saw red. Those were her dreams. "Put it down," Minho said, his voice dangerously low. The leader threw the book on the floor and stepped closer to Minho, towering over him. "Or what? You gonna call your daddy?" Minho didn't call his daddy. He didn't think. He just moved. Years of boxing lessons, which he had taken just for fitness, suddenly kicked in. He dodged the leader's clumsy swing and landed a sharp, precise right hook to the man's jaw. The leader stumbled back, crashing into the hot plate. The other 2 men roared and charged. Minho wasn't a street fighter. He was outnumbered. One of them tackled him, slamming him into the wall. Minho felt his rib crack. Pain exploded in his chest. A pist connected with his eye. He went down. But he didn't stay down. He thought of Hana carrying the soup in the rain. He thought of her scrubbing the wine stain. She had fought every day of her life. He could fight for 5 minutes. He kicked the man off him, scrambling to his feet. He grabbed the only weapon he could find, a heavy frying pan from the crate. "Get out," he screamed, swinging the pan wildly. "I said get out!" The leader, rubbing his jaw, looked at Min-ho. He saw the tuxedo ripped, the blood dripping from his nose, the pure, unadulterated rage in his eyes. He realized this wasn't just a rich boy, this was a crazy person. "Let's go," the leader spat. "He's not worth the jail time. But tell Hana the interest just doubled." They backed out, slamming the door. Min-ho dropped the pan. He sank onto Hana's mattress. It was lumpy and smelled of lavender detergent. He closed his good eye. He was bleeding, he was exhausted, and he was lying in a slum. But for the first time in years, he felt like he had done something real. "Now," he whispered to the empty room, "I have to find her."